Hafide, welcome to another episode of ReelTalk. I'm your host, Ken Siniclis, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Uncle Kin, Jason, and Asha.
And he brought the bass today.
Yeah, I'm getting over a cold. Just got back from the Philippines. And I watch a bunch of movies in the Philippines, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I watched Cold Pursuit, which is pretty funny. It was a Liam Neeson. I guess it's based off of a European movie.
It looked kind of stupid, admittedly. Like, I wasn't sold on the trailer, but...
It's interesting. It's pretty fun. I watched Happy Death Day to You, which is the sequel to Happy Death Day. And that is a pretty cool movie. This girl, she keeps living the same day over and over, but she dies on that day.
She's trailer made it seem like it was going to be really, really, lame.
Well,
it was good?
It is not good, but it is very, very enjoyable. It's pretty fun. I thought it was all right. And I watched Alita Battle Angel, which I thought was incredible. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. It's the Robert Rodriguez film. It's half live action, half or with animation integrated into the film, and it's amazing. I think James Cameron wrote it. It's based off a Japanese anime, and it's really good. You guys have to see that. And you can catch all of those movies at our sponsor's location, Tango Theaters, as well as How to Train Your Dragon Part 3. Right? Is it Part 3?
And you have
end of the trilogy.
Very positive opinions about that, right, Ash?
Yeah, I'm excited to watch. I know it came out... When did it come out? It came out on Friday.
Yeah.
So I just need to make my way down to the movie theaters and watch it.
It looks amazing.
It looks good, yeah.
It does. And it's got
Dragons
Gerard
have never
Butler,
really been
Kate
drawn
Blanchett.
like that.
I don't know
or
if Jay
animated
Baruchel's
like
still back in there. Actually, I don't think
really?
Jay Baruchel's the lead. I think it's Kit Harington, guy from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
But dragons typically they have like a long snout. They can be even for like the nice dragons. They're always, they have some sort of, they're regal, or they can be very menacing, or these dragons. Even they all seem like they're long, kind of like football shaped heads, very oblong and everything. I mean, nothing wrong with it. It's like super cool art direction, but
I don't know. I just like two flips.
Yeah, fun animated series, I think. But today's episode, we are going to talk about previous movies that have integrated animation with real life characters, right? Because I always think that creates an interesting dynamic when you have a real life actor pretending to have a conversation with someone who's not there, right?
Which is a hell of a task to take on.
But God, imagine that, trying to act with this stick. Well, sometimes people are wearing a bodysuit, right? And it just has all those little dots.
Well, that's these days when you do motion capture. Back in the movies that Uncle Kin and I know and love, even all the way back to the stop motion animation, like the Ray Harryhausen things, you're talking about like Sinbad and the Seven Seas and things like that. You would actually have the actor act out their part, and then they would do all the animation post-production. So they would actually shape it around how the actor portrays. So you're looking at maybe like a 2.5 year process just for the special effects.
That's correct. Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I think Alita Battle Angel, you see, I don't know how they created, right? I'm guessing the person who plays Alita, she probably wore the bodysuit and did the whole thing. But got Christopher Waltz in there, and he's excellent in the movie. I think it's a really good movie. It's really action packed, and it's pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. So definitely one you got to check out. But what is your first or your most memorable movie with that type of integration?
I know mine already.
What's yours, Ash?
Mine is definitely Space Jams. I think that was the first movie.
Yep.
When did that movie come out? Because
93.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, I was just 2, but I probably watched it when I was 4 or 5. And
you watched a lot of movies before you could even learn how to read and write.
Chucky was one of them.
I know. You talk about Child's Play. You watched Titanic 10 times in the theater when you were 5.
Titanic was a good one too, but Space Jams.
The Monstars, right?
The Monstars. The Monstars could play defense. Dude, they had interior defense that would make the 1994 New York Knicks look weak.
Man,
that movie was so good. It was so funny.
One of the 1994 New York Knicks was one of the Monstars.
Oh, really?
Bugs Bunny is too funny in that movie.
All right. Remember all the NBA players who actually... It was Sean Bradley, Patrick Ewing, Larry Johnson, because that was even Larry Johnson, grandmama, Muggsy Bogues.
Man, we're gonna go on a tangent here, but you guys have to see Uncle Drew. Uncle Drew's that basketball movie has Kyrie Irving as like an old Rucker Park basketball star, and it has Shaq. It's got Chris Webber. It's got what's the short guy for the Knicks before? Nate Robinson.
Oh, okay.
And
I don't know any of these basketball players.
Reggie Miller and Cheryl Miller. So it's pretty interesting. But it would be cool to see how LeBron, or if the new Space Jam, I'm assuming it's going to be the same.
Oh yeah, right? There's a new one.
Yep.
Yeah, LeBron.
Oh
it's going to be LeBron.
That's gonna be a
of course,
good one.
It'll be LeBron.
Yeah. Who else is it going to be?
Wait, isn't there already like a trailer out or something?
I don't know.
Or there's something.
There's
like articles.
I don't know.
Well, you would assume it would be like full on CG, which is kind of like what Ash very smartly led off our conversation with, because that's kind of the movie that said, okay, now you can turn a movie like this out in maybe like a year and a half, because you're actually going to have these real life performers who, by the way, Michael Jordan is not a classically trained actor, so they had to work a lot with him there, but he was actually performing with people in full on green screen suits with the motion capture orbs all over them and everything, so he actually could kind of see the people he was performing with.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Which is evolutionary.
Does anyone know when it's coming out, the new Space Jam?
I think it's been greenlit.
Well, with the way the Lakers are playing this year, I'm sure LeBron's going to be.
LeBron season's going to be over in June.
yeah.
Maybe even sooner than that.
So, for me, one of the movies that I distinctly remember, and I think it's interesting because as a kid, like I relate anything that's cartoonish to fun and like family friendly. But I thought Who Framed Roger Rabbit was pretty interesting and pretty dark towards the second half of the movie.
They had some pretty risque jokes in there too.
It did. Right. So you remember that? I don't. Okay. Obviously, I guess the rabbit's name is Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Please, Eddie.
So he's being framed with the murder of one of the cartoon like community people, right? And
from Toon World.
Yeah, his detective, a human detective,
Bob Hoskins,
who does not like cartoons, is helping him solve the case. Right?
It's basically like iRobot transposed for animated characters.
Yeah. It's
exactly the same premise. He doesn't trust this other kind of society. Has absolute contempt for them. Finds common ground with them in solving this crime, and then comes to love them.
What was the girl's name with the red hair?
Jessica Rabbit. How can you forget Jessica
Rabbit? Oh gosh, yeah. That was a crazy show.
People still dress up like Jessica Rabbit, men and women every Halloween. I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way. And that was Kathleen Turner. Right. That was Kathleen Turner, right, Uncle Ken? That was Kathleen Turner. Yeah,
that was great.
I'm sorry. I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way. No, sorry.
Bad joke.
Yeah,
bad joke. How about you, Jace?
Okay, can I just add something? Okay, one thing about Space Jam, just to pedal back. The one thing I remember about Space Jam, at least within the history of movies, is Space Jam at that point had only how many real life actors were in that movie? There was Michael Jordan, obviously.
Yeah, there was Jordan.
There was another guy. There was Newman. That guy. He has curly hair.
The big fat guy. Yeah. Newman from Seinfeld. The Monstars. The Monstars. They beat him up. But who was the ref? The ref was also a cartoon character, right?
I don't remember.
Because he had Bugs Bunny, Babs Bunny, Daffy. Who are Michael's teammates?
I don't remember.
Porky Pig. No, Porky Pig played small forward, I believe.
I don't remember.
Okay, so that entire movie, there were only like 2 or 3 other real human beings, and I think 2 of the people were like way at the final scene. They played Michael's kids or something. So, hey, Dad. So that was crazy. And then Who Framed Roger Rabbit, at that point in time, was the longest credit sequence ever before The Matrix came out. The Who Framed Roger Rabbit end credit sequence was like 26 minutes long. Wow. I remember it was nuts. If you rented that movie, you'd be like, wow, there's still so much tape left. That's all end credits because there were so many people that worked on it. Because remember, what they also did is they also took Warner Brothers characters and Disney characters in that one scene, and they slammed both worlds together.
It's amazing.
That would be like these days putting like Marvel and DC.
Yeah, no, that's.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse just crossed, and they even they talk smack a little bit. Donald Duck is over there with like Daffy. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was good. How about Cool World?
Cool World was very dark. You were talking about like dark humor.
Do you think it was darker than Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, because I mean it dealt with like.
Well, it was pretty risque.
Yeah.
Who was Kim Basinger? Was it Kim Basinger?
I believe that was, but it was also Brad Pitt, who no one knew outside of Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
Who was like the hunky guy with no shirt in Thelma and Louise, and I was like, oh, that's Brad Pitt.
And the hickey.
And the hickey, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. She was like she was the killer, right? Like she wanted to be. Am I spoiling this for you? She wanted to be a human.
The movie's 27 years old at this point.
No, but she wanted to be a human, right? And then Brad Pitt was like the artist. Or was it
Yeah, he was kind of like the artist, and he was the
illustrator or whatever.
And then they had that big animated car with the big happy face. And
yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, Cool World was maybe it wasn't so dark, more as it was bizarre. It was a good film though, and even prior to that, where I was coming from when I was growing up, I was watching movies like the original Pete's Dragon, the original.
I love Pete's Dragon.
Have you ever watched?
I watched the original. When did the original one come out? Because I remember watching one.
Yeah, it was like in the 70s.
And like, man, I wonder if that's the one that I watched. I'm not too sure.
With a big goofy dragon with mop hair. Mm-hmm. He looked like a 60s beatnik, and
it's like super cartoonish though, right? It doesn't.
He just had like a series of like. He didn't actually talk in like in a discernible language. It was all just like honks and giggles and just like. Yeah.
I think I remember that one.
In The Office, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was all like onomatopoeia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about would you consider Ghostbusters? See, because like Ghostbusters, I'm thinking the slime.
That was next gen CGI at the time too. Slimer.
Yeah, Slimer was, animation, and some of the ghosts were. But a lot of the ghosts were more like ghouls, like old dead people.
Yeah.
As opposed to Slimer, who was just like this really cartoon green slime.
And if memory serves, and I should know this because how many everybody's watched like Ghostbusters like a cajillion times, but
Ghostbusters is like awesome.
Ghostbusters is sick, but I don't believe Slimer or any of the ghosts, the apparitions, whatever like that, were actually in the same scene with Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and.
No, that's true.
Yeah, because technologically you just couldn't pull that off like in the same frame of video. But
what did they call Rick Moranis in the key maker? Or he was looking for the key maker.
He was the gate master. And Sigourney was the key maker.
Oh, yeah, that was the one.
There is nothing. There is only Zool.
That was what is better, Ghostbusters 1 or Ghostbusters 2?
Ghostbusters 1. Oh, come on.
You didn't like the painting in part 2?
Ghostbuster 1.
No, Ghostbusters 2 was okay, but
not as good.
Remember that, like on the car, the ghost was like that. But I mean, the ghost that basically looked like a big torn condom.
Okay.
No, remember that the Ghostbusters thing with the big receptacle tip. Okay, maybe that was just me going through puberty at the time because I was 14. But,
no, you're right.
Thank you, Uncle Kid.
How about
Asha's very uncomfortable.
Enchanted?
Right now.
How about Enchanted with Amy Adams?
Amy Adams.
That was Amy Adams, right?
It was Amy Adams and God, what's his name? We were just talking about him.
Patrick Dempsey.
Grey's Anatomy.
Did you watch it?
Oh yeah.
Where she's like the cartoon princess, and she. How does she go into I don't even know how she goes to the real world.
I don't really remember, but I know that the mom or the stepmom or something had to do with it, and so I don't know if she was trying to kill the daughter, I think, and then Amy Adams somehow comes into the real world and she meets Patrick Dempsey, and like. She needs a prince or something, right? And I guess he turns into her prince.
He turns into the prince.
So I'm loving the fact that we've covered like so many of these movies where you actually combine animated characters with like real life performers. But at any point, do you guys just automatically buy into like the story and the characters or anything like that? Or has it ever bothered you and said I just can't get past like how bad?
I honestly think Who Framed Roger Rabbit is pretty good. I thought it had a really interesting story that drove it, and like you aren't the illusion isn't broken by the fact that humans and cartoons are in the same world. Like you just believe it, like you're just enjoying it for what it is, right? But I think with like Enchanted, even Cool World, I don't really feel that way. Like I think the illusion is already broken as soon as the film starts. I don't know.
For me, and I'm going to reference another really, really old school movie by Disney. It's called Bedknobs and Broomsticks. If you're a hardcore Disney fan, you know what I'm talking about. But there are entire scenes where, again, humans were actually interacting with, with Disney two-dimensional animated figures. And there's this whole sequence when they're playing a soccer match. And there's only like 3 or 4 humans playing it. And that movie was crazy because you had hand-drawn animation, real people, and then you also had stop motion because the big battle scene at the end of it, it was these... there were these marching, I believe there were skeletons or, there were empty suits of armor. And they were just like fighting and everything. So that combined everything like into one shot. But it was actually Pete's Dragon, the first one. We were talking like in the Big Dragon that made... I never... was broken as a viewer and just said like I don't buy this. Like I always believed that the dragon was getting along with with the little kid and the mom like exactly as if he were a regular principal character.
Yeah, that's cool.
I totally bought into that. Yeah.
I now that I think of it, I really think Alita Battle Angel deserves a lot more credit for what it is as a film because it is heavily CG oriented. Like a huge portion of the film is like animated.
I remember the first time I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, you can tell it's CGI because it looks like a little cartoony and that's not a bad thing. But I was like, wow, that is really, really good. And
it's wild, man.
And I think
movie's crazy.
When you and I first started working together here at KUM, that's when Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within just came out, and I was like, we're finally getting to the point in movies and in tech where if you try and have like an artificial, the mouths match the words, we're getting to that point where you can almost pass the Turing test where you can say, I really can't tell if that's CGI or not, or if that's a real person.
The funny thing about Alita is that the girl is really cartoon based, right? She's primarily animation. It's based off a real person, right? I forgot her name, but the other characters in there, their bodies are like mechanical or cyborg or whatever, but they're the faces of real people. They're not animated. They're like actual actors and actresses, which I think it's pretty interesting. I think that film is a lot better than critics think. I think it's actually a really, really good movie. So,
you know what movie?
Check that out.
Looking on YouTube right now, and I even forgot this. 2004, the Spongebob SquarePants movie. They actually took a wildly successful two-dimensional animated cartoon. Well, animated cartoon. That's a contradiction in terms. And they took SpongeBob into the real world.
There was a movie?
Yeah, there's a SpongeBob movie.
Yeah, which is, that's a huge risk if you think about it, because, the character is like so beloved and his world means so much to so many people, but to actually take him and put him...
I can't stand SpongeBob. I'm sorry. I hate
I never
SpongeBob
cared for
SquarePants.
SpongeBob.
I think it's hilarious.
It's too much.
I just think it's really good comedy.
It's too much. It's way too much. It's just like someone pounding on a door and God, I can't stand.
Yeah.
But
who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Yeah, I got it. Nice. On that note, think if there's no other movies to talk about, we're gonna call it today. As always, you can.
What about Mask? Does Mask?
Oh, category? Yeah, Mask counts, right?
Mask.
Jim Carrey.
Oh, okay,
Jim
The
Carrey.
Mask. I was like, oh, wait a minute, Rocky Dennis? I was like,
no. But Mask, Jim Carrey. That's a lot of work that was put into that thing.
The mask itself was a character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that was Cameron Diaz at her finest.
Who was a real person, thank God.
I know. Wow. Could almost not believe it. That was a pretty awesome movie. That's probably one of my most favorite Jim Carrey movies, I guess.
I can't stand Jim Carrey for some reason.
That's right.
You did not just go there.
In some movies.
You did not say you can't stand Jim Carrey. What's your favorite Jim Carrey movie then? What?
I really
Ace
have
Ventura?
to think about it. No.
Me, Myself, and Irene?
Bruce.
No.
Bruce Almighty.
Bruce Almighty? The Majestic?
I'm coming blank right now because I really never really cared
Ace
for
Ventura
Eternal
2?
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Chicago.
Ace Ventura 2, man.
No, I know I didn't like that one.
What was the
That's the
subtitle
one
for
where
Ace
his
Ventura
hair
2?
was all weird, right?
When Nature Calls.
Oh, yeah.
Ace Ventura Part 2.
What a funny. I really liked it.
Ace Ventura Ace Ventura Pet Detective was great. I don't care.
What was that one movie? Was it Yes Man?
Finkel or Einhorn? Einhorn or Finkel?
Yes.
Laces out,
I think
baby.
I liked him in that.
Oh wait, or liar or something.
Liar.
No, not liar. It was like yes or something, where he had to say yes to everything.
Yeah, that's liar.
Oh, that was like because he couldn't
He's a
lie.
lawyer and he couldn't lie.
No, not that one. The one where like somebody tells him like you should start saying yes instead of no. Because he would always be like, it's called Yes Man. I'm pretty sure it's called Yes Man.
I don't
look it up right now.
Anyway, we have gone off tangent. Uncle Ken, good choice. The Mask was a pretty good.
I just wanted to know whether they're qualified for something like that.
I never even thought about that. That is actually really good. Is the Lego movie considered?
Yeah, I think so.
Because
if we're considering SpongeBob SquarePants, then I guess we got to consider the Lego movie too.
Lego, they actually combine real people with Lego characters, right?
I don't think so.
And I think Asha has maybe kind of like very tactically segued into maybe next week's episode.
What did I say?
It's Hating on Jim Carrey, starring Asha Robles.
Oh man, no. Let's not talk about Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah, there you go.
But he's like really calmed down over the years. Anyway, okay, let's not talk about it. We'll just end this.
Gosh,
all right,
sore subject.
Well, guys, thank you for watching or listening into this episode of Real Talk. You can
want to see where you go with this.
You can catch this episode every week, as well as the other different shows on the KUAM Podcast Network. Stay tuned for Foodie Call this week; it should be interesting. And let us know what your favorite animated / real movies are, and we will see you next time on Real Talk. Happy movie.